Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever watched something, a movie, a TV show, and you think like, oh, I'm pretty impressed. Whatever this director or, movie star does next, I'm gonna be like right there when it uploads. I'm gonna be walking in to the theater the day it drops. Well, that was a lot of people in 1996 when the very first Mission Impossible movie came out. Unfortunately for those people, their idea of being there the day the next movie drops and hopefully being satisfied, it wasn't satisfying for them because Mission Impossible 2 is garbage. It is actual trash. And maybe it's not like actual garbage trash, but it's either garbage or trash, which is trash enough for garbage. So, yeah, Mission Impossible 2. What a movie. Or I could say Mission Impossible Woo, because John Woo's style throughout this movie is so prevalent the whole time. The movie leans so heavily into it, and John Woo is the guy who did like movies like The Killer, not the David Fincher one, the guy the one from like the Hong Kong movie, or Hard Boiled, which are supposed to be amazing movies. Or not amazing, but like they're supposed to be very very good movies. I haven't seen them, but he has a very signature style. It's like gun fu. It's like a lot of doves flying. It's a lot of slow motion action. Unfortunately, that doesn't really work here, because it's honestly like really distracting at points, and that style makes the film like 100 times more cheesy. And the action in general just feels like it's attempted like cool posing. Like Tom Cruise will like roll on the floor or like do like a backflip for no reason, like out of nowhere, when it's completely useless. It's like cool posing, like I said. And it's instead of visceral intensity, which is like the rest of every other Mission Impossible movie has that, and all the elements just come off as like over the top or ridiculous, or like the excessive kicks and the hair flips. It's kind of wild how much this movie is Mission Impossible Woo. But speaking of like the very different, like speaking of the cool posing is what I'm saying. Tom Cruise is a completely different character. Ethan Hunt is like a completely different character in this movie. Like Tom Cruise's portrayal of him, it completely diverges from the first film, and the exaggerated like martial arts, the smiles he has on his face, it's like Ethan Hunt becomes more of like the cool James Bond instead of like who he is, Ethan Hunt. And it's completely out of place. Like it's very annoying. And despite like Tom Cruise's dedication to this whole thing, the rock climbing scene at the beginning of the movie, like it's amazing. His combat style in this movie, only in this movie, it just feels very awkward and forced. And for the plot, the story struggles so much with the pacing and cohesion, and I think the big reason for that is because the original movie, if you didn't know, was originally going to be 3.5 hours long, 3.5 hours long, and there are a lot of cuts from that movie, so the story is completely, it's very uneven, and it doesn't feel cohesive at all. It's very choppy, it's very jarring how we would skip to like one point to another point, and it's like, whoa, what the heck happened here? And there is a complete over-reliance on mask reveals in this movie, like the opening scene, another scene like a hospital. It's crazy. There are so many mask reveals, and it gets repetitive, it gets convoluted, it's really, there's a big over-reliance, and the inclusion of like, in general, digital technology, like the brick-sized cameras, it's really dated, and the advanced gadgets of the first film are so much better. Like it's so much worse than how that first movie did it and how the rest of the Mission Impossible movies did it. Like the way Ethan even throws his like sunglasses at the beginning of the movie, also tying back to how this movie feels like Ethan Hunt feels like a completely different character. Like no other version of Ethan Hunt has like this hair and would like take his glasses and go like boom, and then would be like wearing something like this. Like it's like he's showing off the whole movie, and it's really, really out of place for his character. And speaking again of Mission Impossible Woo, the editing of this movie was like very much controlled by Tom Cruise, and it completely dilutes John Woo's signature intensity like so much, and the amount of cuts and slow-mo during the fight scenes, none of them are enjoyable to watch. It's really choppy, it's really bizarre. And like even the jump he does in this movie, if you've seen it, you know what I mean. Like the building, that scene is really poorly executed, mostly because of that was I about to say wedding? Mostly because of that editing. And in comparison to like movies, like other movies, the film like borrows elements from movies like way more successful films like The Matrix, but it lacks their innovation, and it also feels much less impactful compared to other films of the era and earlier works from John Woo. So yeah, overall in general, Mission Impossible 2 is hands down 100% the worst Mission Impossible movie, and is the only one out of all of them that I would have a negative opinion on, because the rest are just so good. I cannot wait to talk about the rest of these movies because like it's just great stuff from here on out, amazing stuff. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this one. Peace out.